Good evening. I would like to bring the April 21st, 2021 meeting of the Interboro Board of School Directors to order. May we have a roll call, please, Ms. Caldwell?
Thank you, Mr. Phelps. Mr. Freilinger, Mrs. Krajewski, Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Goldsboro,
Here.
Ms. Joseph, Ms. Fagan,
She's here. I don't.
Ms. Fagan, Mr. Evans,
Here.
Mr. Chavone,
Here.
Mr. Phelps.
Here. Okay. Mr. Evans, can we have the invocation and the pledge, please?
Yes, sir. Heavenly Father, please hear our prayer. Bless all schools, colleges, and especially the Interboro School District, and grant to this board in their deliberations this evening the spirit of wisdom, truth, and knowledge. What is undertaken always be done in charity and in peace, and what we do might be for the benefit of others. All this we ask in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Just so everybody knows, Ms. Krajewski has joined the meeting. Okay, we will now hear from our student reps, Ms. Parker and Ms. Hughes.
For the Kindergarten Academy, on April 16th, the Kindergarten Academy had their first annual walk for autism awareness. Each child was encouraged to wear blue. The children walked around the block and then back to their classrooms. Mrs. Bryan will also be teaching an autism awareness lesson to each class this month.
Glenolden School, spring is starting to make its way to Glenolden, and we couldn't be happier. Along with the warmer weather, children also began using the playground equipment again. They are following all safety measures and are consistently reminding others if they see anyone too close to another person to keep personal space. Safety is key. Mr. Stube enlightened our minds every day with an interesting fact about an important woman in history. We are learning so much from the morning announcements and appreciate his hard work. Students in grades 3 to 8 continue logging into IXL for every free chance they get to see if they can make it onto Miss Cavito's IXL challenge board. They eagerly await for Friday morning to see who the lucky winners are each week. Keep up the great work. We held 2 spirit days this month, Superhero Day and Crazy Sock Day, and Don't Diss My Ability. The PBIS team surprised over 40 students with tickets under their desk, alerting them that they won a free pair of crazy socks. Students were so excited to participate in both days. Surprising the students with themed prizes was definitely a hit and will surely continue with the spirit days.
For Norwood, the elementary students had a wonderful time building their traps and were so proud of themselves. On Wednesday, March 17th, the elementary students set their traps for leprechauns, but no leprechauns were caught this year. On Tuesday, March 30th, the PBIS committee celebrated our teachers with cupcakes and coffee prior to starting spring break. Barksdale came in to take the students' pictures on Wednesday, April 7th and Thursday, April 8th for the Norwood in-person and virtual students. Norwood received a new digital sign and it looks great. We appreciate the school board, Mr. Galloway, and Mrs. Riley for the purchase of the new signs for each community school.
The month began with our Read Across America celebration. Students in our primary grades participated in several activities, from a week of themed days like our Wear Silly Hats, Silly Sock Day, Pajama Day, and Wear Your Favorite College or Sports Team Day, and Wear Your Green. In addition, we had some very special guest readers come via Zoom to read a variety of books to our students. Our guests included Jason Lee from
Francesca, we can't hear you. Grace, how about if you pick up?
Just one second.
That's fine. Thank you very much.
Our guests included Jason Lee from PHL 17, and we were featured in the news that evening. Local authors Alicia Murphy, Jennifer Gladden, and author Trevor also joined us for some of our read-alongs. We even had our very own Mr. Kelly, Mrs. Boswell, and Mr. Lambert join in the virtual reading fun and share their favorite stories with the students. All the students enjoyed the week and were awarded prizes for participation, which included bookmarks, pencils, notebooks, t-shirts, and masks. Just before spring break, our elementary students were treated to a special PBS reward for their wonderful behavior throughout the second trimester with the Brain Show. Students in every class participated in the virtual trivia game show. For Tinicum, our monthly PBIS winners for showing respect, responsibility, honesty, and healthy and safe were Reagan Berg and Avery Monahan. On March 30th, they won a very special prize from our PBIS committee. They even won a scooter. Thank you, Reagan and Avery, for being great role models at our school. During Women's History Month, which was the month of March, Mrs. Cassidy's and Mrs. Wilson's third grade classes learned about Georgia O'Keeffe and Frida Kahlo, who were two amazing women artists. The third grade classes discussed what made the artists trailblazers in the art world. Mr. Mitch, our art teacher, also stopped by to help the classes create two projects inspired by the two artists. Also, for Women's History Month, our fifth graders studied 4 women in history: Shirley Chisholm, Maya Angelou, Oprah Winfrey, and Dorothy Vaughan. They learned about them through assignment Schoology that involved ed puzzles, Wakelets, and Padlets. Their exit tickets were the murals and reports displayed in the hallway of our school.
At the high school, theater March 19th and 20th. Interboro Theater produced 2 virtual plays during the weekend of March 19th and 20th. The high school participated in productions, and many community members and staff supported the show with their tickets. The staff gave the students a standing ovation during their cast party on March 26th. Athletics. Fall sports are winding down. Field hockey is currently in first place, girls soccer is in second place, and cross country had their invitational last Saturday, and 3 runners medaled. Brenna Hubis in 9th place, Ziggy Andrews in 9th place, and Jake Hubis in 11th place. And student council announced their homecoming court, and they will have a spirit week the week of April 26th, and the king and queen will be announced at the end of the week. And this concludes our report.
All righty. Thank you, Ms. Parker, Ms. Hughes. Just so everybody knows, Ms. Joseph has joined the meeting. She was a few minutes late, but she is here, just so you can mark her down. Okay, moving on to number 3, Ms. Riley, recognition. Do we have any? And you're muted. No? Okay. All right, number 4, Mr. Evans, do we have any public comments?
No, sir.
All right, we'll move right on to number 5 then.
Motion 5.1 that the following minutes of the regular meeting of the Interboro Board of School Directors held on March 17th, 2021 be approved.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 8-0. Next, we will hear from our solicitor, Mr. Pupio. You're muted, sir. There you go.
Well, you'd think we got the hang of this after all this time. I apologize. Good evening,
No,
Mr.
no.
President, Superintendent Riley, and fellow board members and Interboro community. The month for our office has been focused, as many of the recent months have been, with regard to COVID situations and working with the administration to make sure that unlike the reputation that lawyers can get, we need to make sure that we are a part of the solution to the vaccination program and doing things, and not part of the problem. No one wants to get in the way. A lot of times there are legal issues that come up. We have tried to anticipate those with regard to the vaccination program, work with the insurance carrier and your administration to move forward and make sure that these things are not an issue, that they're handled beforehand, so that when the district has to pivot quickly, which is not something that school districts usually do or have to do, that they're prepared and able to do that. I believe, and I would defer to Mrs. Riley, I believe we've accomplished a fair amount of that goal this month. And we will continue onward as we move forward with this unusual year. Thank you, Mr. President. That would be all that I have at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Pupier. Okay, moving on to number 7, Mr. Evans.
In financial, motion 7.1 that the attached treasurer's report for the month ending March 31st, 2021 be approved.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 8-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion 7.2 that fund disbursements in the amount of $7,251,189.62 be approved.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 8-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion 7.3 that the budget transfers for 2020-2021 be approved.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 8-0. Number 8, no correspondence, Mr. Evans?
No, sir.
All right, we move right on to number 9, the committee reports. All right, 9.1, finance, Mr. Chavone.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps. The finance meeting was held on Monday, April 12th at 7 p.m. We had our monthly budget update, 2 department budgets, and reviewed preliminary financial statements. In terms of the general budget, revenues increased $14,701 due to assessment changes from the county. In terms of state revenue, it has stayed status quo. And from my last budget update in March, we are budgeting conservatively because the governor and the legislature still have to come to an agreement on where they're going to land with the funding level for districts. On the expenditure side, overall, we reduced expenditures by $464,000. Major drivers for the reduction include utilizing the federal money known as the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund, or as you will see multiple times on the agenda tonight, it's also known as ESSER. We reduced the technology budget as well as the curriculum and instruction budget by about $760,000 with these funds. Our final look for prescription came in lower than anticipated, so we were able to reduce the benefit line item by $100,000. We did see some increases to the special ed and pupil services line item for additional charter school and private school enrollments that equaled approximately $350,000. As of April 12th, at a 0% tax increase, we have a deficit of $1.3 million, and at a 3.5% tax increase, we have a $201,000 surplus. The impact of a 3.5% tax increase on the average assessed household of $156,000 is about $14 a month. In terms of specific department budgets, Dr. Ekman and Dr. Avidable shared a presentation on how they would use the ESSER money for curriculum materials and instructional software over the next 4 years. We are grateful for the ESSER money as well as the forethought and planning from Dr. Ekman and Dr. Avidable to match the curriculum cycle. We will have to take a deep dive in a couple of years to assess what instructional software we will continue, because the ESSER money is a one-time allotment of money and it will eventually run out. But for now, this money will help decrease their budget tremendously, improve resources for our students, and help us balance the budget. Mr. Sonnet presented the technology department budget. He shared a presentation on how he would like to utilize the ESSER money to offset his line item budgets. There are agenda items that the board will be voting tonight on. Some of those include purchasing of Promethean panels, which will be installed over the summer if approved tonight, purchasing of new Chromebooks and part replacements, and upgrading our data center to improve our servers and storage environment. Other items Mr. Sonnet would like to offset his budget with by using ESSER money include upgrading and improving our district website, PowerSchool online enrollment, Schoology, DocuSign, Zoom, managed methods, and Dameware remote everywhere. Overall, with the ESSER money, as well as the great planning by the central administration, we're able to decrease the two budgets by, as I said earlier, $760,000. Finally, we had time to discuss the preliminary financial statements, and board members were able to ask questions. Now, not at our meeting, but at work session, we had our bond counsel present an updated refinance option for us. At last month's meeting, we discussed possibly putting on the agenda tonight a refinance resolution, which is on the agenda tonight. The update at our work session was that we could save approximately $800,000 over the life of the bond and about $50,000 annually. So that is on the agenda tonight as well. And that is it, Mr. Phelps.
All righty, thank you, Mr. Chavon. Next, we have 9.2 GBO Committee, Mr. Goldsboro. You're muted, sir.
So I am. Thank you, Mr. Phelps. This month, we did not have a GBO committee meeting, so I don't have anything to report for that.
All right, thank you, sir. 9.3 Legislative, Mr. Chavon.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps. The Legislative Council met on April 14th at 7:30 in the morning. There was a conversation from other Delco schools that have received a letter from the Valley Forge Military Academy Charter School for an application. We have not received a letter. I asked for a copy of the letter to share with Mrs. Riley, just so we had it. And, so we saw what the letter stated. And as I said, we haven't received it yet, but I just wanted to make sure that charter school was looking around in Delaware County for, I guess, approval from their boards. There was no update at this meeting on the state budget. There are two bills that PSBA is pushing for to reform the right to know laws. SB 312, which would require commercial or fees for commercial requests, and SB 552, which would allow districts to petition the Office of Open Records for relief from vexatious or malicious requesters. There, again, some schools throughout the state of Pennsylvania are getting right to know requests, but it's to bog them down, to get, and it takes away from the work that the district employees are supposed to be doing. So these two bills would help offset some of the costs that school districts have in terms of the right to know requests. We discussed the ESSER funds and some rules and regulations in which that money is supposed to be used. We also discussed compiling a list of local assessments that each district utilizes so that we can share with our legislators so that they can continue to petition to the federal government to waive standardized tests. That seems to be to no avail as of right now. The PSSAs and all other standardized tests are still on for this year. And then finally, the virtual legislative breakfast is on May 21st at 8 o'clock. You all are all invited to attend. If you can, please make sure you do. And after this meeting, I will forward the email in which you can RSVP. When I forwarded my report, the information was in that document, but I will forward it again as well. And that is all, Mr. Phelps.
Thank you, Mr. Chavon. Next up, 9.4 Delaware County Community College, Mr. Goldsboro.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps. On April 1st, we were scheduled to have a meeting, a liaison committee meeting for the Delaware County Community College. I was informed that meeting was canceled, and then at which point I made subsequent plans, and then I think it was on. I don't know if there was an April Fool's joke going on or around on that particular day, but from my understanding, there was very limited information that was given out. I have not received an email with any of the PowerPoint presentation or any of the data that had been gone over, or any of the information that had gone over at that meeting. But I was made aware that the final numbers for the budget for Delaware County Community College were given out. Those numbers met the numbers that Marty had put into the budgetary process previously because it had been a 1% increase. So that was the information that essentially came out, and it just reconfirmed those numbers. So that's, and I don't know when we're going to be having a subsequent meeting. And as soon as I find that out, I will let the board members know.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Goldsberg. Okay, moving on to 9.5, Delaware County Intermediate Unit, Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps. The Delaware County Intermediate Unit meeting of the Board of Directors met on April 7th, 2021. Approved and implement the Pennsylvania Department of Education Competitive Equipment Grant for the DCTS. Approve a contract for the Labor and Industry Office of Vocational Rehabilitation Bureau of Vocational Rehabilitation Services, Norristown, to provide tuition assistance to practical nursing students. Let's see what else. Acceptance to the Delaware County Educational Funding Grant for 2021 to 2022, totaling $14,603.84. Approve the negotiations agreement with the Delaware County Intermediate Unit Support Professionals, PSEA, NEA, and Delaware County Intermediate Unit for the 3-year term of July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2024. Approve the emergency facilities agreement with the Pennsylvania Emergency Management Agency. Also to approve the amendment of the 2021-2022 early intervention calendar. The next educational meeting will be, let me try this again. The next DCI Board of Directors meeting will be May 5th, 2021 at 6:45 in person at the DCIU in Morton. That's all I have, Mr. Phelps.
All righty. Thank you, Mr. Harris. Okay, at this time, Ms. Parker and Ms. Hughes, you can be excused. We appreciate your time and effort for your reports. All righty. All right, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, moving on to number 10, Mr. Evans.
From the Office of Personnel, a motion that the following personnel actions be approved, starting with 10.1 and running to 10.7 on page 3.
Second.
Motions have been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motions carry 8-0. Next up, Mr. Evans.
Motion with regret that the following retirements be approved. 11.1 to 11.5, that be Kathleen D. Bakey, reading specialist at Norwood School with 33 years of service to the district, be approved for retirement effective June 14th. Stephanie Morton, special education teacher at Prospect Park School with 33 years of service to the district, be approved for retirement effective June 14th. Andrea Donahue, instructional assistant, special ed at Norwood School with 32 years of service to the district, be approved for retirement effective June 14th. Judith Rex, special ed teacher at Glen Olden School with 21 years of service to the district, be approved for retirement effective June 14th. And Christine Martin, instructional assistant, special ed at Norwood School with 18 years of service to the district, be approved for retirement effective June 14th, 2021.
Second.
Okay, motions have been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Myself, I would like to thank each and every one of these employees, not just employees, family members. You know, anybody that's been with the district, 30, 20, 30 years, they're not just employees. They are basically family. So we will miss them, and we do appreciate their time that they've put in and the service that they've given this district. Okay, any other comments? Hearing none, the motions have been moved and seconded. Everyone in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motions carry 8-0. Next up, Mr. Evans.
From the Office of Curriculum and Instruction, motion that the following items be approved, 12.1 to 12.6 on page 5.
Second.
Motions have been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carry 8-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
From the Office of Special Education Pupil Services, motions that the following items be approved: 13.1 and 13.2.
Second.
Motions have been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 8-0. Next, up, Mr. Evans.
From the Office of Technology, motions that the following items be approved: 14.1 to 14.6 on page 6.
Second.
Motions have been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Just quick comment, Mr. Phelps.
Yes, Mr. Chabon.
As I mentioned in my report, a lot of these items are through the ESSER funds, and I just wanted to point that out for the public. And I also want to just thank Mr. Sonnet for all his hard work with gathering the information, providing the documentation to us. This is a lot of money. You know, there's a lot of dollar signs next to these items, and I know he worked really hard to try to get us the best bang for our buck. And for the next 5 years or so, you know, we're going to be in a pretty good shape in terms of our technology throughout the district. So he deserves a lot of commendation for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chabon. Any other comments? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carry 8-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion that the Board of School Directors, motion number 15, that the Board of School Directors approve the election of the following individuals to serve as members of the Delaware County Intermediate Unit Board of Directors for the term of July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2024. From Chichester, Edward Cardo. From Pendelco, M. Colleen Powell. Rose Tree Media, Hillary Fletcher. Upper Darby, Rachel Mitchell. And Wallingford Swarthmore, Lawrence Kudis.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 8-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion 16 is a roll call motion. The Board of School Directors approve the general operating budget of the Delaware County Community College for fiscal year July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022 in the amount of $90,378,107. Interboro School District share is $464,260.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? You're muted, sir. Yes.
Yes, I am. Sorry about that, Mr.
That's
Phelps.
okay.
This is the amount that was talked about and discussed earlier in the Delaware County Community College report.
Oh, great. Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Hearing none. Ms. Caldwell, could we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Krajewski,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Goldsboro,
Yes.
Ms. Joseph,
Yes.
Ms. Fagan,
Yes.
Mr. Evans,
Yes.
Mr. Chavone,
Yes.
Mr. Phelps.
Yes. Motion carries 8-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion 17, that the Board of School Directors authorize the Superintendent Bernadette Riley to apply for the Flexible Instruction Day Program, known as FID, through the Pennsylvania Department of Education.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 8-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion 18 is a roll call motion that the Board of School Directors approve the revised 2020-2021 school year calendar.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none. Ms. Caldwell, could we have a roll call on this, please?
Ms. Krajewski,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Goldsboro,
Yes.
Joseph,
Yes.
Ms. Fagan? Ms. Fagan? Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Chavone?
Yes.
Mr. Phelps?
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Next motion, Mr. Evans.
Motion 19 is a roll call motion. The Board of School Directors approve the resolution authorizing the incurrence of non-electoral debt through the issuance of tax exempt bonds, which bonds shall reduce one, shall reduce the school district's outstanding debt service by refunding its Series 2016 bonds. Secondly, pay costs of issuing and insuring, if applicable, the bonds, accept a proposal for the purchase of the bonds, appoint bond counsel, and approve all actions necessary to accomplish the foregoing.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments from the board, Mr. Chavone?
I was just going to reiterate again, it's $818,000 savings over the life of the bond, approximately $50,000 annually, which is a huge chunk of money for us to help balance the budget. So I want to thank Mr. High School for, always bringing these to us, and our bond counsel for always staying on top of that.
Yes, Mr. High School is always in front of this, and we do appreciate it. Any other comments? Hearing none, Ms. Caldwell, could we have a roll call on this, please?
Ms. Krajewski?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Goldsboro?
Yes.
Ms. Joseph?
Yes.
Ms. Fagan? Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Chavone?
Yes.
Mr. Phelps?
Yes. Motion carries 7-0. Next, we have up, do we have any old business? Hearing none, we will now hear from our superintendent, Ms. Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Phelps. To all of our parents who have students who are 16 years of age or older, you should have received correspondence from my office with important information regarding the student vaccination clinic that is being held at Ridley High School on May 3rd, which would be the first dose, and May 24th, which would be the second dose, from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. This is being sponsored by Springfield Pharmacy. If you did not receive the email and would like more information, please contact my office and we'd be more than happy to send it out to you or to discuss with you over the telephone. I would like to congratulate Ms. Holly Curran, who is the Educator of the Year. She is our Prospect Park School Counselor, and she has been selected as a recipient of the Franklin Mint Federal Credit Union Education and Excellence Award. Holly was chosen for the award in 2020, but due to the pandemic, the ceremony was not held. Each year, the Franklin Mint Federal Credit Union Foundation Excellence in Teaching Award recognizes 20 outstanding and dedicated teachers in our area. Franklin Mint Federal Credit Union created this award in 2007 in partnership with the Delaware County Intermediate Unit. Recipients of the award receive $1,000 towards classroom expenses and a commemorative keepsake. The recipient school also receives a $1,000 award. A total of $40,000 will be awarded to schools and educators across the county. Congratulations, Holly. Also, we'd like to recognize John Conte on behalf of the Board of Administration. John received the Science Adjunct Excellence in Teaching Award from Widener University. The Science Adjunct Excellence in Teaching Award recognized John for his hard work in the general education lecture and lab courses on weather and climate, and his work for the public viewings in the observatory. If you've never had the opportunity to see Mr. Conti in action, I highly suggest you look up the observatory schedule down at Widener. I'm not sure what's happening with that now during COVID, but it is quite an evening, and he does an excellent job sharing all the great things about outer space and being able to view some of the planets and the moon. It's pretty great. I did it a number of years ago, and it was wonderful. We'd also like to congratulate the hockey team. They won the recent Chessmont American Championship against Sun Valley High School in the ICSHL League. Under the coaching of Tom Akins, Ari Nugent, and Jeremy Count, they guided the team to a record season of 11 wins out of 12 games. Sun Valley was the only team to win against the boys this season, and this loss spurred their motivation to win the championship title. We'd like to congratulate our seniors, Hunter Chubb, Chris Caldwell, Ian Burney, Connor Reskovich, and Jared Quinlan. And last but not least, I would just like to congratulate and thank all of the retirees. That's 137 years total years of service to the Interboro School District and our students. So I want to congratulate them. I wish them well and good health upon their retirement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Do we have any comments from any of the board members? Myself, I would, as Ms. Riley said, I would like to thank the employees that are retiring. They did great service to the district. Okay, the Interboro School District will continue to hold all future meetings remotely until further notice. Please visit the Interboro School District website at www.interborosd.org for further information. On Tuesday, April 27th, 2021, an ad hoc Capital Improvement Committee meeting will be held at 6:30 p.m. On Monday, May 3rd, 2021, the Finance GBO Committee meeting will be held at 7 p.m. The next work session of the Interboro Board of School Directors will be held on Monday, May 17th, 2021 at 7 p.m. The next regularly monthly public meeting of the Interboro Board of School Directors will be held on Wednesday, May 19th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming. Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.